You guys can actually go on Google Play. You guys can go on iTunes. It's right there. So if you guys just even go into the search bar, just type in Get the KO or even Your Sports Therapy, you guys will find it there. You can actually tweet at us too. We have our Twitter set up. So either you can find me at CM_Miller85, or you can even go at Get the KO or even at Your Sports Therapy. We're always responding, so it's really a lot of fun. And then, you guys can also follow blogs as well as you can follow me here on the Vegas Sportscast.
Yep, and he is one of our featured writers for our MMA blog side of it on thevegassportscast.com. And I'm sure he's going to be writing some great stuff about this weekend's fight, isn't he?
He said yes.
Yeah,
I think
always,
that was a
man.
yes.
That's all I do.
I heard yes.
So, all right, awesome. Well, thanks again for jumping in. We're gonna let you off the hook here, and Ron's gonna
right,
clue us in on his Rumble Johnson. Have a good one.
Great chatting with you. Okay, and
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks. Now, all right. No, here's my. I got a few Rumble Johnson stories because.
All right, we got to keep it quick because we're pushing time.
We are pushing time. We're going to go overtime in this one. This one for all the reasons that you know this week. But Rumble Johnson, Anthony Rumble Johnson, couldn't make weight in the UFC for a long time. Was a light heavyweight, so 205 is what they were fighting at, and he would miss some fights, and so he got sent packing by Dana White because he kept missing too many fights by not making weight. So we took a chance on him with the UFC and said, no, let's give him a second chance and see what we can.
Oh, not with the UFC, but
sorry, with World Series of Fighting. Thank you. With the World Series of Fighting. Well, let's give him a second chance. Let's give him his fifth chance. Okay? He'd already had a few chances. And no, he was great to work with, wonderful to work with, was nothing but great. He made weight every fight, all the time. He was about as nice a guy as you could meet. Case in point, we're in Miami, and he wasn't fighting on the card, but he was there training down there because that's where he trains with the Black Zillions, and so we're doing a promotional event, and Boost Mobile was our main sponsor, and that's a burner phone. So usually in the inner cities is where this sells the most. Okay, that's the demographics of that phone, that product. I think it's a Sprint product. Anyway, so Boost Mobile, I'm going into this part of Miami, and I'm telling Anthony Johnson, Rumble Johnson, where I'm going, and he says, "No, you're not. You're not going in that part of town." I said, yeah, I'm going there. I said, "There's no problem." He says, "No, you're not. I'm going with you, not without an escort, not without somebody with you." Nice. I didn't even know what part of town it was. I couldn't tell you what part of town it was now, other than I told him where I was headed. I was asking him where it was. So he, sure enough, went with us and went with me. I was the guy putting this promotional thing together there. And so
you had Rumble Johnson as your personal security.
As my security guy, and so we were safe. And so we had a couple of fighters there, so that was sort of fun. He was one of the ones there who did this. Then there was the fight against, which is an absolute classic fight. If you have the chance to see it online, watch this online. 3 rounds of hell between two guys, between Andrei Arlovsky, another UFC guy, a former UFC champion, and Rumble Johnson, both fighting as heavyweights. And this was in Revel Casino in Atlantic City, the now shut down casino. Beautiful casino, but a horrible casino to get around in. It was one of the worst casinos. You didn't know where you were at any time.
That's most casinos I'm
But
in.
no, this was this was horrible, and that's one of the reasons it's closed down, I think. Anyway, so the night before the fight, we had triple X gloves, but we didn't have quadruple X gloves for Andrei Arlovsky. Biggest hands I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So he needed 4X. We had 3X. And so they looked at me like, okay, Ron, you got the biggest hands of anybody here in the office, so you go ahead and put these gloves on and, wear them all night and wear them around so that you can stretch them out, these 3X gloves. So I did, wore them, stretched them out, and as best I could, but still didn't stretch it out enough. So now we're fight day. It's that day, and Andrei Arlovsky still said, okay, no, the gloves do not fit. No, do not fit. Cannot fight. Too tight. We have 4X gloves, but they're UFC gloves. Okay, I don't know where we found them. Somebody found them. Those fit perfectly. So now we have to mark out the UFC with Sharpie as best we can.
Oh no!
And put it WSOF on these gloves. And we figured it'd be a fast fight. We figured it wouldn't be a big deal. It'd be a fast fight. Well, into the first round, the timekeeper with the New Jersey Athletic Commission let the fight go 10 seconds too long, which was a horrible decision because in that 10 seconds, a brutal first round, Anthony Rumble Johnson gets Arlovsky in the corner and breaks his jaw in 7 places.
Oh, wow.
Cracked him and the word about Arlovsky was he had a glass jaw. Like you hit him in the jaw and he goes down. He did not go down. He kept going, and he fought 2 more rounds with his jaw busted in 7 places. By midway through the 3rd round, now the markings are being wiped off his gloves from all the sweat
and the
fighting.
UFC logo,
and the UFC logo is starting to show, and you could clearly see it's a UFC logo at a WSOF fight. It was our 2nd fight, so this one hit home. This was like, okay, big mess up. What's the UFC going to do? Are they going to be angry? Are they going to file lawsuit? I mean, we thought everything from file lawsuit, to the reaction that Dana White had, which was the best possible reaction, was laugh about it and say, hey, thanks a lot. That's a lot of fun. I'm glad they could use our gloves and put them to a good purpose.
Wow.
And the reason he had that reaction, because, again, Dana, I don't know if you know, but he can sometimes go off.
Yeah. Well,
ask Bellator or ask Pride. If he goes off at you in your Pride fighting, they buy you and they absorb you.
That's because he's from the Northeast.
So. Yeah. Sometimes he can go off. And so we had always, and we made the decision, I'd like to say I helped make this decision early on at the World Series of Fighting to let's have a good relationship with the UFC. Let's don't have an adverse relationship. There's no need for us to. And let's know who we are, and let's be a minor league, if you will, for boxing and for MMA, and take some of those fighters and see if they can go on to the UFC. Marlon Moraes is a guy who's now gone into the UFC, who's a great featherweight fighter. At least that's what he was with us. We mentioned Justin Gaethje and Arlovsky and Rumble Johnson were both with us and then went up.
I always looked at him as a hybrid of new fighters that haven't quite gotten their feet wet in the UFC yet, but also fighters that were put out to pasture by the UFC.
Yes, we had John Fitch at the end of his career, and was a great draw. And he was a more exciting fighter, I believe, with us than he was with UFC, because that's one of the reasons he was let go by the UFC. Josh Berkman. Oh, Josh Berkman was so much fun. He now is with the UFC and getting a second chance. He won Ultimate Fighter. He was the second champion in the Ultimate Fighter series. And so he came to us. He's out of Salt Lake City. Great guy. Fought with us at the World Series of Fighting and did a number of great things. So he now has graduated back into the UFC. Glad to see that happen.
So, obviously, good fights this weekend, good fight card. Overall, balanced card. Nothing crazy, awesome, but overall just good fights. Other sports going on before we wrap this up.
We got to go baseball. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Yankees were winners last night.
Yankees did win last night, 8-4 over Minnesota, taking the chance to move on in the playoffs. You see that Yankees player? I don't remember who it was, but he took a took a line drive. Right to the. Yeah, so the look on his face was priceless. I can't stand the Yankees. But, right now we have Colorado and Arizona duking it out. Arizona leading 6-4.
Bottom 5.
Yep, Arizona came out strong with 6. By the 3rd inning they had 6 runs. So Colorado's fighting back, put up 4 runs in the 4th. So it's top of the 6th right now, actually, 6-4.
As a Dodger fan, I'm so rooting for the Rockies right now. Arizona's tough, and Arizona scares me. And the National League is, let's go here. The baseball playoffs. Dodgers ended up with the best regular season record, but they're limping into the playoffs.
Oh, they are.
My Dodgers. Yeah. They've got some really some big cracks in that Go Dodger Blue ship right now. So I don't know what to expect against. Okay, let's say Arizona holds on and wins. It's going to be.
I think the Cubs are going to be your big.
Cubs are. A problem.
Cubs are a big problem. And then on the American League side, Cleveland's a big problem.
Oh,
without
Cleveland's
a doubt.
second best record in baseball, best in the American League.
So
and they finished with a rush, with a much better rush than the Dodgers have.
They phenomenal.
Oh, and they have a chip.
Run.
I think they still have that chip from that extra inning loss last year to the. Did you mention the Cubs already? Yeah, those Cubs.
So Cleveland's going up against the Yankees tomorrow at 4:38 Pacific time. So it's 7:38 Eastern time. 7:38.
Why?
What an odd time.
Why baseball?
And then Boston against Houston at 4:08 Eastern, so 1:08 Pacific time.
It's to get the pregame in. To get the anthem in. I guess that now they're going to be showing that more often.
So we got those two going on tomorrow, and for football, who do we have for football?
Hey, let me go. Okay, and the Rams. I continue to have a horrible time at predicting the Rams in my league. I'm in a league, as I mentioned here before, and it's not really a fantasy league, but it's called Football Pick'em on Yahoo. And I love this Football Pick'em league because you have to pick every game against the point spread. Okay, so it shows, it separates.
And still the Rams deceive you.
And the Rams, I chased them last year. I am chasing them horribly this year. The only thing I managed to squeak out was that tie against San Francisco when they were favored by 2 and they won by 2. So now I've got the Rams coming up against the Seahawks. The Rams are at home, and the spread is even, and I am taking the Rams with a bullet this weekend. I am going into this one confident. Now that should have great fear right there. But for a couple of reasons. One is the Rams typically do well against the Seahawks. They could lose to everybody else, and they do well against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks can't score touchdowns.
Well,
I know they did last game, but
I'll tell you, the Seahawks have that same issue starting out the season almost every year.
They do nine. They win their games 9-6.
And then usually, and it's the problem is even in fantasy when you have Russell Wilson, he's mid season quarterback where he just starts to really take off. So it's a tough few first weeks always with Seattle and even having Russell Wilson as your quarterback. But tomorrow's game,
Patriots Bucks.
New England against Tampa Bay in Tampa. So New England is favored by 5.5. So I would take New England on that one.
That's the side I have. I know you got the. Where's your Patriot tattoo?
As a Patriots fan,
but still, is there a history against the Bucks that I'm missing? Anything?
No, nothing. Nothing crazy. Obviously, Tampa is playing well. They're 2-1 right now. They've been doing pretty decent. Obviously, they were part of that first week bye, early on due to the hurricane. But so they're 2-1. New England has a lot of holes in their defense. Tremendous amount. I mean, they are giving up. I wouldn't even say that they have holes. They have just
don't have a defense.
I think they're running 9 players. I mean, I think that's the only. I think Roger Goodell worked a deal out. That's the only way for New England to be on par with the rest of the league is they can only have 9 on.
No,
defense.
They've been penalized. Did you hear that? They got penalized for cheating again.
Yeah.
So Roger Goodell said you only get 9 players on defense.
I mean, last week it was not just blown coverages. It was guys standing alone in the field just waiting for the ball. I mean,
hey,
yeah,
over here. And quarterbacks having to decide which person which of the 4 that's open.
Should I hit? Safety blew past the guy like he wasn't even standing there, and bites off on a wide receiver on the right side, and we got a guy just standing there just. The only person behind him was the ref. So
here's a tough one I've got this week, and so I've got the Patriots here -5.5, and I already had that because I just thought, okay, on a short. Here was my theory in this one when I made that pick was Belichick on a short week. Boom. If I have any doubt, Belichick on a short week.
On a short week, always pick Belichick Brady over.
Go Belichick Brady over anything else
Jameis
you got
Winston.
there, pretty much. Okay, boy, but I love Jameis Winston is fun to watch, and the quarterback with Houston right now is fun to watch. The kid out of Clemson, man,
so
Watson is just tearing it up, and he is so much fun to watch. Okay, here's my game that I really am going back and forth on, and I'm going eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but I don't know which one to go with here. In Oakland, Baltimore Ravens against the Raiders. Raiders are -2.5. Boy, the Ravens suck.
Baltimore just finished getting blown out. It's
but the Raiders don't have Derek Carr, and the Raiders suck without Derek Carr. We saw that in the playoffs in the end of last season. So I don't know. And in fact, of the picks, it's interesting to look at the picks because that tells you the dilemma I'm under. Across the country, 54% of the people have taken the Raiders, 48% of the people have taken the Ravens. So it's nearly 50-50.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of disparity in here. For example, 69% of the people